The Lux Radio Theatre brings you Laura, starring Dana Andrews, Gene Tierney, Vincent Price, and Otto Kruger. Ladies and gentlemen, your guest producer, Mr. Lionel Barrymore.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if there is one form of entertainment we Americans are singularly partial to, it's the mystery or detective story, popularly known as the whodunit. 1 out of every 4 new works of fiction published in this country is a mystery or detective story. Some 300 new books of this sort appear each year. Needless to say, you couldn't read all of them if you tried. But tonight, we're bringing you one of the most intriguing mysteries of recent years. The current 20th Century Fox hit, Laura. Our stars are Gene Tierney, who is just completing a Bell for Adano at 20th Century Fox, Dana Andrews, and Vincent Price. All 3 in their original screen roles. Also, the ever-versatile Otto Kruger. Now, I think one of the reasons mystery stories are so popular, especially in troubled times like these, is that they satisfy our sense of order. They take a troublesome and seemingly hopeless situation, and they put everything to rights, simply by the use of human intelligence and sensible methods. Well, now it's curtain time, and here's Act 1 of Laura, starring Dana Andrews as Mark McPherson, Gene Tierney as Laura, Vincent Price as Shelby Carpenter, and Otto Kruger as Paul Lydecker. Now, most people who read a newspaper or listen to the radio know the name Paul Lydecker. Mr. Lydecker is a legendary oracle of barbed wire and forget-me-nots, whose enchanted pen and acid tongue have brought fame to hundreds and oblivion to just as many. His New York apartment is a combination art gallery and Roman bath. And now, immersed in one of his marble pools, Mr. Lydecker has a visitor, Detective Lieutenant Mark McPherson of the Homicide Bureau.
Be careful, will you? That stuff is priceless.
Oh. Mr. Lydecker? Quite an art collection in there.
Those pieces you are pawing over are irreplaceable.
Nice little place you have.
It's lavish. I call it home. You'll hear about the murder of Laura Hunt. I made my statement yesterday to Sergeant Detective Crane.
I know.
Told him what I know. Now suppose you tell me what you know.
Why not?
Hand me that washcloth, Mr.
McPherson.
How good a detective are you?
I've picked up a few facts. Laura Hunt was killed the night before last. A bell rang. She opened the door and someone pulled the trigger of a shotgun. It wasn't nice. The range was close.
Have you found the shotgun?
No.
What else?
The thought comes to me, Mr. Lydecker, who's questioning who?
May I remind you that you're a guest in my home?
Yeah, that's right. What else, huh? Well, Miss Hunt was a very good-looking girl, probably. About 25, lived in a swell apartment, had a maid named Bessie.
And where did she get the wherewithal to support such a menage?
Bullet Company, advertising agency. She had a good job, art director or something.
Not or something.
She has a lady cousin in town and a couple of boyfriends. One named Shelby Carpenter, and the other is Paul Lydecker.
Today is Sunday. Why haven't you tried to see me?
Because it's a peculiar case, and I wanted to think.
If you'll wait, I'll go with you when you leave.
Why?
Murder's my favorite crime. My radio audience loves it. I know you'll visit all your suspects, and I'd like to study their reactions.
You're on the list yourself, you know.
Be insulted if I weren't.
Were you in love with Laura Hunt, Mr. Lydecker? Was she in love with you?
Laura considered me the wisest, the wittiest, the most interesting man she'd ever met. I was in complete accord with her on that point. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll get dressed. Where shall we be stopping first, Lieutenant?
I'd like to see Laura Hunt's cousin.
Mrs. Ann Treadwell, yes, of course.
I'd like to ask a few questions, Mrs. Treadwell.
I'll do anything I can to help. Oh, good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Ann.
You were fond of your cousin, Mrs. Treadwell?
I adored Laura. Paul can tell you.
Yeah, I can tell you considerable.
Did you approve of Miss Hunt's coming marriage to Mr. Carpenter?
Why shouldn't I approve?
I don't know. Just what does Shelby Carpenter mean to you, Mrs. Treadwell?
To me?
Well, he comes here regularly. Is he a friend, acquaintance? Or are you in love with him?
Oh, this is beginning to assume fabulous aspects.
What are you driving at?
The truth. Are you in love with him?
Why, no. I'm very fond of Shelby, of course. Everybody is.
I despise him.
You've been withdrawing a lot of cash from your bank, Mrs. Federal. 1,500 at a clip. 1,700.
I needed that money.
Mm-hmm. The day you took out 1,500, Carpenter deposited 1,350. When you withdrew 17, he deposited 15.
You shooting craps, Anne?
Oh, must I be insulted like this? Shelby needed some money. I lent it to him. I supposed I could do with it as I pleased.
Sure. Now, on Friday night, you were home alone. Why didn't you go to the concert with Mr. Carpenter?
Concert? Why, I didn't go because he didn't ask me.
Well, hello.
Oh, just talking about you, Carpenter. What a coincidence to find you here.
This is Lieutenant McPherson.
Yes, we've met.
I didn't know you were here, Mr. Carpenter.
I've been lying down. My hotel room is so hot, and then all the reporters and the telephone. You know how it is, Lieutenant. I've hardly slept a wink since it happened.
Is that a sign of guilt or innocence, McPherson?
I'm as eager to find the murderer as you are, Lieutenant. Laura and I were going to be married this week, you know.
No, he doesn't know, and neither do I, nor you, nor anyone else.
Oh?
Laura had not definitely made up her mind to marry him. She told me so herself. She was going to the country to think it over. Laura was extremely kind, but she'd never have thrown her life away on a male beauty in distress.
I suppose you've heard losers whine before, eh, Lieutenant?
Yesterday, you said you went to that concert Friday night, Mr. Carpenter. What did they play?
Oh, some Brahms and Beethoven's Ninth.
Mm-hmm. Well, this place Miss Hunt had in the country. Have you got a key to it?
No, but I think there's one in her apartment.
Well, I'll have a look.
And perhaps I could help you?
Okay, come along. Goodbye, Mrs. Federal. You can start looking for that key now, Mr. Carpenter.
Oh, yes. I'll try the den. Excuse me.
That's the dame's portrait on the wall, isn't it?
Will you stop calling Laura a dame? Look at the furnishings. Would you call this the home of a dame? Look at her portrait.
I am. Not bad.
It was painted by Joseph Carter. He was in love with her then. Have you ever been in love, McPherson?
A doll in Washington Heights once got a fox fur out of me.
Have you ever known a woman who wasn't a doll or a dame?
Yeah, one, but she kept walking me past furniture stores.
Where are you going?
Phonograph, there's a record on here. Selections from Bitter Sweet.
One of Laura's favorites. Not exactly classical, but very nice.
You know a lot about music?
I don't know a lot about anything, but I know a little about practically everything.
Then why did you say they played Brahms and Beethoven at that concert? They played nothing but Sibelius.
Did they? Well, to be perfectly honest, I fell asleep and I didn't hear a note. I know it sounds phony, but I'm just a natural-born suspect. You see, I'm not the conventional type.
Don't worry, I fall asleep at concerts myself. Find that key?
No, maybe it's in here in her desk. Yes, it is. I knew there must be one around somewhere.
It's funny, the police looked in that desk drawer yesterday and the drawer was empty. You had the key right along, didn't you, Carpenter?
Yes. I didn't want to give it to you while Lydecker was present. I have private reasons that don't concern him.
You have private reasons, no doubt, to lie about that key.
Paul, I'm warning you to stop implying I had anything to do with Laura's death.
Very well, I'll stop implying. I'll make a direct statement.
You asked for this, Paul.
Get it out, the two of you. Okay, we came here to find the key, and I've got the key. Now, let's get out.
There's nothing more you want from me?
No, not now.
Well, I'll run along then.
You, having lunch, Lieutenant?
I guess so.
There's rather a superior restaurant nearby.
Okay, let's go. Nice, quiet little place, Mr. Lydecker.
Yeah.
What's the matter?
You wouldn't call me a sentimental person, would you, Lieutenant?
Well,
Dozens of times we sat here at this very table, Laura and I.
How long did you know her?
Nearly 5 years. I was just thinking, we were eating lunch, and it was at lunch that I first met Laura. The Algonquin Hotel. I was alone. I looked up and I found her standing in front of me. She had a layout in her hand. Sample was question.
Lydecker, how do you do? I'm Laura Hunt.
No?
I'd like to talk something over with you if I may.
I am eating my lunch.
Yes, but it's practically impossible to get to see you, and I
Either you're from some incredibly remote community where good manners are unknown, or you suffer from a common delusion that being a female exempts you from all the rules of civilized conduct.
Possibly. But I wanted to show this to you. It's an ad for the Wallace Flow Wright pen. You're such a famous writer and commentator. It would be tremendously helpful if you'd endorse what we say about the Flow Wright pen.
I don't use a pen. I write with a goose quill dipped in poison. And you may tell your employers that...
Oh, they don't know anything about this. It was all my idea. They'd give anything to get your endorsement. And if I were the person getting it, why...
You disregard completely something far more important to me than your career.
Oh?
My food.
You mean that, don't you?
Well, of course I mean.
I never heard of anything so selfish.
In my case, self-absorption is completely justified. I have never discovered any subject quite so worthy of my attention.
But in your column, on the radio, the things you say, they're filled with such understanding, such sentiment.
Miss Hunt, you are beginning to bore me.
You're a poor man, Mr. Lydecker. I feel very sorry for you. Goodbye.
With Laura Hunt occurred about 2 hours later.
Kept after you, did she?
No, I went to her because I couldn't stop thinking about her. I was more than slightly annoyed, but she had something, that girl. Something far deeper than good looks. I went to Bulletin Company, proceeded to do something I have carefully avoided since the age of 2. I apologized.